Hi everyone, it's the Rangers review after Celtic 2, Rangers 3. Barrie Ferguson earns his first win as Rangers boss in the Old Firm, and what a performance, what a game to take in. Rangers deserving winners in the end. They went 2-0 up, as you will know, having watched the game, and deservedly so in the first half. They maybe could have had even more. Dujon Sterling made a really important defensive interception just on the stroke of half-time. Celtic brought it back to 2-2. Rangers maybe a little bit guilty of sitting off, and you were starting to think, will the hosts get a third? Will they manage to turn the tide? Totally, until Hamza Egaman stepped up with just a brilliant Old Firm strike and what will go down as a brilliant Old Firm moment. Chris, this is a game that isn't going to mean that much, obviously, or it's not going to mean anything at all in the context of the title race, but it was still significant. And what a way for Barrie Ferguson to get one over his old rivals and at his first attempt. I mean, there's elements of that second half which we'll pick apart, but generally that was a really brave Rangers performance at Celtic Park, and they win there, I think, for the first time since 2019.
I think you could see by the celebrations from players, fans, management, staff at the end of that game, that showed you what it meant for Rangers, as we've touched on this week, as we spoke about pre-match. Grand scheme of things, it doesn't mean anything. It's not going to allow Rangers to get themselves back into this title race. But when the Old Firm games mean absolutely nothing, if you go into one of these fixtures and think, not going to bother watching it, doesn't make any difference to me, you're in the wrong game, you're watching the wrong team. That's not what Rangers are about. They're about winning big games. They're about beating their biggest rivals, and that's what they've done today. We spoke pre-match about the importance of the first goal. Rangers get it. A really lovely header from Nico Raskin. We spoke after that about capitalising on that. They did that with again another really accomplished goal. Tav with the pass, Raskin, a lovely header after a great run. Diomande with the finish. When it goes to 2 each, it looked like there was only going to be one winner. It didn't look like it would be Rangers at that stage. Celtic had the momentum. Rangers were clearly feeling it after Thursday night. But what a way to win it! What a way to answer all your critics. And Egaman provides. He's not scored for a while. He's someone that we've spoken a wee bit about on the show and amongst ourselves. But what a way to win it! And what a way to get your first goal at Parkhead. That was quite something.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I'd like to give a shout out to my dad, who was criticising Egaman on Thursday night, and I said I was just trying to stand up for him, so I sent him a text right away as soon as that goal went in. Nonetheless, comment here: Old Firm games never mean nothing, says Laney. I think that's an important place to start, Chris, because obviously Rangers had Thursday night in their rearview mirror. But this did mean it meant extra, I think, for a lot of reasons, because you have a new man in the dugout. Celtic wanted to make a statement after the Old Firm defeat that they suffered at the start of the year. That's the first time Rangers have won back-to-back Old Firm games in a long time. And we've spent, rightly, quite often, a lot of time criticising this team this year. But you've got to give them their credit as well, Chris, because, as Andrew said, you play well considering the efforts of Thursday. Chris saying that too. What a week for the club to make it into the last 8 of the Europa League and get that result. You can debate the wider significance. We'll see what happens next season, Chris, and you can still pick the bones out of the current campaign. But the type of kind of character and belief that Rangers showed today at Parkhead, you've not seen them do for, I think, a long time. There was tired legs, Cherney tired. I thought Desser's tired, but he kept going. And while he doesn't get a touch on the way through for Hamza Egaman to score that goal in extra time, he still kind of arguably puts Carter Vickers off. Nico Raskin just keeps on running. So while it's not going to turn the title race whatsoever, it is still really significant. And Barrie Ferguson was tasked with improving the mood when he took this job. You have to give him big credit for changing the system to get through in Europe and get a result this afternoon as well.
Again, we spoke pre-match about the Barrie factor in terms of what he can bring to this role. It's something I think he's mentioned in a number of his press conferences. I think overall he's actually spoken he's actually spoken really well every time he has had a pre-match or post-match, every interview that he's done. I think he has spoken really well. And we've always kind of referenced what can he bring, and it's a knowledge and it's a know-how about what this football club is and the standards that are required and what's demanded. He knows what the fans are thinking. He knows what's required to bring success. Does he have every answer from a tactical perspective? We don't know. We don't think so. Could he go and spend the transfer budget on and try and rebuild a squad? We don't think he'll get that chance. But while he was here, while he had the chance to be Rangers manager, he had to and give the fans something to hold on to believe in, and that's certainly what he's done. To go through on Thursday night in that manner, to then follow that up with an Old Firm win at Parkhead just a couple of days later, it's a remarkable achievement. Now, I don't think he'll get a chance to be Rangers manager come the first day of next season. If his spell ends in the summer, he's already achieved two things that will live with him for the rest of his days, adding to a wonderful legacy as a Rangers player. He's added something to that over these last couple of days, and he's brought back a bit of feel good, brought back a bit of pride, and he's certainly given the fans two hugely memorable and wonderful occasions to cherish in what has been obviously it's been a disastrous season overall, but it perhaps sums up this team and sums up this football club, that a season can be that bad and you can still have moments like that, and who knows, potentially even more of them to come.
Yeah, I mean, the last Rangers manager to win away at Parkhead, I'm right in saying it was Steven Gerrard, wasn't it? Mm-hmm. I don't think anyone's done it since then. So again, that shows you that Barrie Ferguson has done something today that his predecessors haven't. Let's talk about the game then, Chris, because Rangers went to this back three, back five, and we spoke pre-match about will that invite pressure or will it give them the type of cover that they need to beat the Celtic team? And in the first half, it worked brilliantly because you had Diomande, Marshall and Engels, and Callum McGregor was definitely a miss to Celtic today. But, I mean, when was the last time Rangers went in without, we know what their injury situation has been like in recent years. They've played without key players and especially without key forwards for a number of Old Firm games in recent matches. But I thought the approach worked really well because it allowed Rangers to invite pressure and then kind of jump up and be aggressive. And they probably should have had one more when Cherney goes round Schmeichel and he just doesn't want to take it on his right foot. There was other moments in transition where you thought, are these missed kind of opportunities going to come back to haunt them? I don't know what you thought watching the first half, but the one thing that concerned me a little bit, and I was trying to live tweet it as we went, was when Rangers managed to press Celtic back to Schmeichel. I thought they looked great off the ball. And that's kind of what led to the second goal. I think it was Ridvan Yilmaz winning it back. We'll talk about Nico Raskin, who for me was Rangers' best player in the lead up to that second goal too. When they fell a little bit deeper, and you saw that in the second half, that's when Celtic can be dangerous, and the rotations on either side, as seen for their second goal, can cause issues. But that first half, Chris, the approach, Ferguson got that really right, and the performance of maybe Raskin in particular to score the first goal from a corner and then get the assist for Diamande's second too. Rangers were well worth their 2-0 lead at the break, even though Sterling has that kind of a clearance off the line from Maida just on the stroke of half time.
And it could have been even better for Rangers. And I think back to the Cherney one, trying to capitalise on the slack pass from Schmeichel, that really should have ended up in a goal. A couple of moments from corners, Balogun looked threatening, and Celtic looked a bit unsure at moments. But I thought the two goals that Rangers did score in that first half really nicely worked. Now we spoke a lot at the start of the season about Rangers not having any threat at all from set pieces, and then when they finally did score from a corner, it was almost a kind of hallelujah moment that it had happened. But nice cross from James Tavernier. I said Raskin, not exactly the most commanding figure, but at times he's run well, got across his man, and it's a really nice deft header back across goal and into a kind of area. If it doesn't find the far corner, it's there for someone else to try and get on the end of. So a really smart move from Raskin. I thought he was excellent once again. I really showed his class in that midfield battle. Also, just a couple of days after getting that call up to the Belgian squad, he can now head into this international break on a huge high, and he has a was a big hand in the second as well. Nice ball from Tav, but it's the run, the way that Raskin gets away from Engels, and then has that awareness to know where Diomande is, to flick it into his path. Diomande takes his touch. Again, a really good finish, and Rangers, as you say, more than worth it at that stage. If it got to 3, I think it's probably game over. That doesn't give Celtic a chance to get back into it. Unfortunately, it was only 2, but in the end, that didn't come back to cost Rangers at all.
Yeah, Mark's in there, fight, passion, determination, not seen in a long-term time at Parkhead. I thought like Raskin kind of embodied that, because how many Rangers performances have you watched at Parkhead in recent years, Chris, where you think Celtic totally win the midfield battle and it looks as if they I don't like using phrases like want it more because it's so hard to measure, but it looks like they're enjoying it more, that they're kind of up for the occasion. And someone like Raskin, he didn't appear phased whatsoever. He's becoming now the player that Rangers thought they were getting. There's a reason that there was real excitement when he came to the club. I think for as little as about £1 million, maybe just actually under that figure in January 2023. He's taken him time to play in his favourite position. And Barrie Ferguson was asked him about it at Friday's press conference, and he was really complimentary of Nico Raskin, but also said, I think there's so much more to come from him on the eve of, or on the day, that he received that call up to the Belgium national team. Set piece, I agree. It's a clever routine because if he gets the flick on, and you see it, I think for Balogun got a flick on at the start. It was in the first half too, wasn't it? And Engels chested it back, and that time it wasn't goal bound, but it maybe was going to get onto someone at the back post. Raskin, whether he was going for a goal or trying to get it to a teammate at the back post, it was an excellent cross from Tavernier. He did it again to create that chance for Mohamed Diomande. And a word for him, Chris, who he tired, I thought, in the second half, understandably. So I was kind of surprised that there wasn't more changes made early by Barrie Ferguson, but it worked out okay, didn't it? But I thought Diomande as well, that was one of his better Old Firm performances, and it is it's rare that Rangers have had the upper hand in the midfield in this fixture, but I think over the last few games they have had that advantage in the middle of the park.
I think one of the other things that Barrie had to put into this squad, as well as the things that we touched on earlier on in terms of feel-good factor and a bit of confidence, he had to get results like that to show that these type of results can be earned. I mentioned this on the talking point with Stevie this week as we were previewing the game. You think back to when Steven Gerrard came in, Rangers had such a poor record in these fixtures, had been outclassed and outthought in so many of them. And that first one under Gerrard obviously didn't come in the first game, but that first one, it allowed this squad, it allowed those players to think, well, we can go and beat Celtic. Yeah. We have a way of playing, we have the quality, we have the mentality. Gerrard then followed that up obviously with a win at Parkhead. All these small milestones can be really, really important. Now, some of these players will not be at this football club come the first day of next season. There will be another turnover. You would expect Raskin and Diomande to be there. You'd expect Igaman to be there unless a big money offer comes in for any of them. So this result, this performance, it should give those 3 plus others that will remain part of the squad. It should give them so much confidence. It should give them something as a reference point going forward. When you play well in a game like this, when you get a result like that, it has to give you a real impetus for the future. So yes, it doesn't mean anything. It doesn't mean anything until in the grand scheme of things in terms of a title race. But all these things can still be important for Rangers.
Yeah, welcome to Andy, who's a new member. Remember, if you join the Rangers Review YouTube channel, you get 3 to 5, I think it is, extra videos early every single week and get lots of other perks as a member, including ad-light versions of the morning briefing. Richard says, Barrie, a brave performance from Rangers. Barrie's substitutions made a difference. Yeah, I was actually, Chris, if we move on to the second half, and David's saying this here, I like the 3-4-3 in the first half, but not the 5-3-2 in the second. I kind of go along with that in that Rangers had played it perfectly up until half-time. And I kind of thought, are you going to see one of Dessers or Cherney come off? Because they were both tired. and there was moments there to be exploited. You think Egeman's a better ball carrier. Danilo, we know that he has quality, even if we don't see it often enough. But he kind of, as he did again in midweek 2, he chose to wait, trusted his team, and they did show an ability to respond. Were you thinking the same thing? Were you thinking, where are these substitutions? Because had you coming into the game, I just thought Rangers needed legs, and
Mm-hmm.
Proper I thought was poor, pulled apart far too easily for that goal. But then the changes that Ferguson does make by going to turn into Hamza Egeman and Tom Lawrence and Clinton Ciala in the final minutes, it worked in the end, didn't it? But I didn't think it was. I thought it was too late by that point. I don't know what you were thinking watching at home.
It did feel like the momentum had got away from Rangers. I think losing the first goal like they did in the manner that it did. It's a really poor, careless kick from Jack Butland, and Celtic then capitalise on that and score. And when they get the second, it does feel like there's only going to be one winner. It felt like the game had got away from Rangers, and no matter what Barrie did, there's almost a sense of, well, he can go and throw some players on, but it might not make a big difference. Well, the ones that he did put on obviously made a huge difference. Egeman deserves a lot of credit. I didn't get my bit of stick beforehand on the show, but said it wasn't a overly impressive performance on Thursday, but he then up with a terrific moment there. I think that it shows perhaps the limitations of the Rangers squad. I like that midfield three of Raskin, Diomande and Barron, but outside of that, where's the other option? You're looking at Lawrence, you're then looking at Bailey Rice, who it'd be a big call to put him on. You're probably short of a midfield option. You're certainly short of another centre half option because Ciala, I know, is still young and still raw. Proper, I think I've been fairly clear on over the course of the season is not for me, certainly, and certainly in fixtures like this. So I think the bench showed the limitations of the squad, but I have to give those that came on, certainly like a man, have to give them credit for the impact that he had. And Rangers in the end somehow just had enough to get themselves over the line.
Yeah, I was it a comment here, very excited comment. Does Butland get an assist, all caps, for the winner? Did it go straight to Egeman because Dessers didn't touch it? I don't know. I lost track of it by that point, but it certainly was like again, Dessers. I was kind of thinking, why is Dessers still on? Because he just looks tired, and it wasn't a game where he was that. He had that moment just before, and Barron followed it up with a shot too, where he didn't quite make the most of it. But he kind of occupied Carter Vickers in a physical sense for the whole afternoon, and that's ultimately what allowed Egeman through to do what he did. Before we get to that, the way Celtic go back into the game, poor defensively from Rangers for the first goal in particular. Tavernier getting caught under the ball as Maeda goes over it. Not a sentence that is new, and I do think that Celtic started to improve as after the changes that were made at the break. But then that Egeman moment, Chris, you were screaming for him to hit it earlier. Maybe you were thinking, has the opportunity been passed? But he's so effective at chopping inside onto his right foot. And you're right, he's not scored in a while, but this is still a player who, as we saw in particular at the start of the year, has so much potential. He's about to go away to hopefully play for the Moroccan national team for the first time. And what a way to sign off at club duty for a couple of weeks.
It's one of these strikes. Once he'd hit it, it stayed hit. He put so much. He put so much into that, and the keeper had absolutely no chance. It was a wonderful strike. Like you, I did fear that the chances maybe he'd God may see the ball, maybe keep bobbling around and players getting in around him. You do wonder if the moment had maybe gone for him, but he gets it out, gets his foot right behind it. Schmeichel had absolutely no chance, and it's a brilliant moment for him. It's been a season of so many impressive first and impressive big moments for him as he's had made this transition to becoming a Rangers player that I'm sure will probably stand out. I know his performance in Nice certainly stood out before that, but to go to Parkhead and score an Old Firm winner in the dying seconds of the game, I mean, that's just a huge moment for him. And as you say, he can go off on his international travels now. Hopefully he comes back fit and firing, because he will be required, not just in the next Old Firm game, but he's certainly going to be required in this European tie that's coming up as well. So certainly a real positive. And after I think some of the criticism of late perhaps been unfair. I thought for a number of games he's been used in a way that didn't really suit him, been asked to do things within the side that didn't really suit his qualities. But I say that's an incredible way for him to get around off this phase of the campaign.
Yeah, I mean, in a normal season at a normal club, and that is not something we've attributed to Rangers much this year, but someone like Eggman comes in to complement things, and then maybe usurps the strikers ahead of him. But you've had Danilo's been injured, Dessers has great moments and less great moments, and I agree with you. I think Eggman, he was playing that role kind of off the striker for a number of weeks, and I don't think he's a player who is at his best when he's receiving the ball 30 times. When he's playing when he's the highest striker, even if he drifts out to the left-hand side sometimes, that's when he's at his best for me, which is probably why a lot of his really good performances came alongside Danilo, who could drop in and link play and take that burden off of him slightly. Fantastic finish. And as you say, when the ball left his foot, you thought that is only going in one direction and staying there. Who else? Ridvan, pretty good. Lost his man. I mean, we could be having a very different tone of discussion had Alistair Johnson finished under the bar instead of over it, with effectively the last kick of the game. Aside from that, what do you think of Ridvan? He lost Jota maybe a bit easily as Jota stood the ball up for Maeda's goal, but aside from that, pretty good afternoon all in.
I thought probably quite like Rangers as a whole. Good first half, not quite as good second half, but played his part in a big win. I think much like Thursday night, a lot of the performance will get lost in the celebrations and get lost in the emotion of what it means. I don't think Thursday night was a classic performance. You can't say that second half today was a classic performance either. But it's a side that so often this season has not found a way to win, and that's what they've managed to do in these last two games. So full credit to them. I said that there will be things that Barrie will pick out of it. I'm sure he'll spend the break going through it again and looking at these last couple of games and seeing where individuals can improve, seeing how the side can improve. But I think overall everyone has to be thoroughly delighted with their efforts over the last few days, and even just from a physical perspective, for those players to come through Thursday, not get much sleep on Thursday night like us, I'm sure, and then go through their work on Friday and Saturday, and then go in and produce that kind of performance to show that resilience until the end. That's the type of qualities that a lot of fans didn't think this group had within them. A lot of them had been written off. Ridvan had been written off quite a lot. So for them to have a moment like that, I'm sure it will live long in their memories. But hopefully, it can be something that they can kick on from, and they can improve on, and they can take into the rest of their Rangers careers.
Yeah, it's very much a case of what happens next, isn't it? Because between now and the end of the season, Rangers have league games to play for that don't mean much, but in the context of the season, but can still improve the mood. They have this European campaign. Who knows where it will take them? And Barrie Ferguson, I believe he's been in the job. Was that 3 weeks, Chris? About 3 weeks? Because he was told at his press conference it was 5 weeks or 4 or 5 weeks, and he kind of looked surprised and said it's actually just been over 2. So much has happened in that space of time. Just to finish, Chris, if you'd said that when he was appointed and on this interim basis to try and improve the mood, to try and lift things between now and then at the end of the campaign, if you'd said he'd managed to get past Jose Mourinho and win at Parkhead, you'd have got pretty good odds, which important to give him credit to for doing that, because it was, I don't know what the odds would have been, but they would have been pretty slim, and not many people would have expected that to be the case and those results to kind of follow.
No, not at all. I say on the day that Clement was sacked, we also had a long video and Barry's name came up on the day that Barrie was appointed. We did another video, and there was safe to say, there's a lot of people in the comments, a lot of people on social media who were not overly fond of the idea. There's a bit of criticism for the club. There was people kind of downplaying his value for the job, people questioning his choice of backroom staff. I think he mentioned it after the first leg last week that it's not about him and it's not about proving people wrong. Game by game and results like that, he's certainly proven people wrong. I mentioned in my analysis piece, it's on the site. It will start questions of give Barrie the job longer term. For me, it's still too early for that. That's not a conversation to be having right now. There's still a lot for Rangers to try and achieve this season. There's still a lot of big games for Barrie to go and try and prove himself in. I think you just have to take the wins in a season when there's not been an awful lot to get behind and really get excited about. You take the wins when they're there. You take the big moments. Everybody really enjoyed Thursday night. They'll go and enjoy tonight. So let's go and take it for what it is. But as you said there, it's about what comes next, and there could still be things for Rangers to go and achieve this season.
Yeah, we shall see. We will hear from Barrie Ferguson soon. If you want to listen to that on the YouTube channel or read it on the website, then keep your eyes peeled. And loads of coverage to come on the Rangers review this week. We should remind you that this video is brought to you by our friends and sponsors at S1 Jobs. If you're looking to hand in a transfer request, make a change in your work and life, then head over to S1 Jobs, as you can see on the ticker below, and browse thousands of jobs across the Central Belt. We'll be back tomorrow morning. As I say, loads of coverage to come this week and right across the international break. Remember, you can still, I think, get a £1 for 6 months subscription over on the website, and that will cover you right through a big summer takeover stuff, sporting director, manager transfers. It's going to be a busy few months at the Rangers Review. So join us for that, and please subscribe on YouTube if you've not done so already. But until then, thanks for watching. I'm sure you'll enjoy the rest of your Sunday, and we'll speak to you in the morning. Bye for now.